All right. I'm good with that.
That's awesome, bro.
Well, first things first, dude, it's been a minute. I can't believe how long it's been. Life gets hectic and things get in the way. And
Yeah, buddy.
I would imagine you're a black belt by now.
As of yesterday.
What? Did you literally seriously?
Seriously.
Wow. So I should be calling you Professor
No, you
now.
should not.
Professor Randy Highsmith.
Ah, yeah.
Well, congrats, dude. That's a major accomplishment, dude.
Bro, I even talked about you a little bit during it because it was like those early days and just thinking back to them and a big part of my um part of the speech you gave or whatever was just
Yeah.
I was like that in just the trashiest place of my life, like my body was just wrecked and I was dying and slowly and headed towards that downward spiral and I just remember reaching out to you and being like, dude, I need something. I need to figure this out. And you turned me onto that place, man. And even though that was just like the starting place, I met some people there that are still with me on the journey now. So um yeah, it was
Well,
it was
good, man.
it was an amazing night. It was super fun. And I'm teaching fundamentals on Tuesday nights and I co-teach with my mentor professor on Saturdays. And so it's just dope. It's a great place to be in life. But I did want to say I'm super grateful to you, for just helping me figure out where to go in those first steps.
Well, listen, I will tell you that what I found in jujitsu mirrors what I found in music, right?
Mhm.
Because where music was that Rubik's Cube, that I got to figure this out. First, let's figure out how to play guitar. Let's figure out how to play and sing. Then let's figure out how to write songs.
Yeah.
Like that was easy compared to jujitsu because with jujitsu, it's like every day, every person that you train with is a different Rubik's Cube that you're like, I don't even know how to manipulate this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
But let me tell you, also similar to music, it just the thing about jujitsu is it's a cornerstone of my well-being, right? It
Yeah.
just is, right? Because when you're there, it's meditative. You're not thinking about anything else when you're there, right? If you're lucky enough to train with the people that I've been able to train with over the last 9 years, and which by the way, I do not have a black belt yet. So congrats.
Bro.
But if you're lucky enough to train with the crew that I do, it's meditative and it's fun. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we laugh a lot, and
Absolutely.
I don't know, dude. It's like music, Alcoholics Anonymous, family, and jujitsu. I couldn't imagine living without any of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's dive into it. I mean, you
I
know, Tom Flowers, man, thank you so much for being here today. And I mean, obviously I love you to death. And it's
ditto.
been too long since we've got to chat. So yeah, man, what have you been up to? What's going on these days? How's your injury?
Well,
Because
uh,
let's talk about that for a second. Talk
talk
to me about
about what?
talk to me about that injury.
Oh, dude. So that's another thing about jujitsu. It's very humbling, right? So I've always been the little non-athletic older dude at my academy that's like, all right, let's go. Right? I don't
Yeah,
care. Big guy, small guy, let's go. Let's
yeah.
let's go. And this I went with this guy, a great guy, where I train 3 or 4 times a week, he's training 7 days a week, and he's 20 years younger and bigger and everything. Anyway, we're training and he live training and he goes to sweep me, right? And normally I'll flow into a sweep and try to get something, right? Because what am I going to do? It's like I'm not going to stop a buffalo from taking me down. But this time I decided that I was going to see how long I could wait. Like let's see what I was I was presenting an obstacle, and my foot was planted, and my body went to the mat. My knee stayed up, and
Oh,
and the funny thing is, dude, is I heard all of the creaks and pops and stuff like that. We didn't stop because your adrenaline's going,
sure,
right?
sure.
And then after class, I'm looking at my knee and like, well, it's not swelling up. Then I get to my car and I get out of the car at home. I can get out of the car. I'm like, okay. And then it just started, it didn't swell and it started getting a little bit like grumpy. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I just sprain it, because of course I want to convince myself of that.
Sure.
So I wait a couple weeks. I go back to jujitsu, and dude, I couldn't even close my guard.
Mm.
My knee, if my knee was straight, it's fine. If my knee was curved in any way, shape, or form, it would send me through the roof. And that's when I knew of course, though, I'm like, let's give it a couple more weeks, just a bad sprain.
Sure, as one will.
Right. So then I go back again. I can't train jujitsu now. I'm like, oh man, this isn't good. So I finally go see a doctor. Doctor sends me to go get imaging. Imaging reveals that I tore my MCL and my meniscus.
Mm.
Right. So I'm already a month and a half down the road from the initial injury. So, which in typical me fashion, I wait forever. I could have had it
Right.
anyway. So I go and I need to have surgery. The specialist says we're going to let the MCL to heal on its own, but we've got to cut away the tear in the meniscus. So I'm
Mm.
like, okay, well, whatever. So we go do that. Anyway, long story short, man, I was off the mats for 7, almost 8 months.
Oh, dude.
Oh, dude, and it was like, no, man, I'm not the guy that goes and shows up and sits on the bench to watch so that I can stay. I'm not watching it on TV. I'm not doing any of that. I'm like completely trying to ignore the fact or compartmentalize the fact that that's not what I get to do. This part of my routine
Right.
is no longer a part of my routine,
Right. Right.
So anyway, I come back and it changed everything. I no longer train with just anybody,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Um I don't live train very often. And if I do live train, it's with a very specific partner, which, as you know, has its upside and downside, right?
Sure.
Because
Sure.
you know my game and I know your game, and
Right.
unless I'm countering your game, I'm getting beat, or vice versa. So, but still, my perspective on jujitsu has changed. Has gone from, you know, I wouldn't say super competitive, because skinny, older, non-athletic white guys can't really afford to be competitive
Yeah.
mindsets. We just go in and survive, right?
Yeah.
But it's gone from a little bit more aggressive and to a little bit more risk averse now.
Sure.
So anyway, and the funny thing is, knee heals and I'm good to go, and then other stuff kind of filters in, like,
Sure.
regular schedules get altered by, unexpected plans and stuff like that. So, but it,
Um, yeah, so were you doing competitions or just training?
no, dude. No, bro. I did one competition as a white belt. Like, and that's a funny story, right? So, my professor, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm going to compete. He's like, this is great, because you know how Brazilians are. They're like, this is great. We're going to get you ready, and the entire game plan couldn't have been worse, right? It's like, first, at my age at the time, I was told, "Hey, don't worry about takedowns. Nobody does takedowns at your age. They just pull guard." I'm like, "Cool. Don't have to worry about that, right?" And I swore to God, Randy, like as soon as they said go, this guy ran full strength, like I've never seen anything like that
Yeah,
at me. I'm in the air, and all I could do is come down in guard.
right.
And from the minute I get him in guard, I'm fighting for my life. So anyway, long story short, I got demolished.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll love this. My coach is yelling at me. I have no idea what's going on, because this dude wants to kill me, which is a higher level of energy than I get at most of my classes.
100 for sure.
His coach is by my head going, he don't want it. He's tired. Randy, I got a guy yelling at me. I got a guy killing me, and I got a guy behind me, and I'm literally like looking at. I'm like, so anyway. Long story short, I didn't tap. Great. There's my silver lining, but I
Yeah,
got killed.
yeah.
Right. I go home. Lindy's like, how'd it go? I'm wearing my competition shirt. I tell her what happened. She goes, that's a pretty expensive shirt, huh? I go, no, she goes, how much was the competition? I go, $75. She goes, that's a pretty expensive t-shirt, right? I knew exactly what she meant right there. I'm like, you're right. You're right.
Very
Not,
expensive.
yep. I'm like, you're good, man. So that was my one and only competition. I realized in that moment, I'm like, I'm good, dude.
I did, that's so funny. So I competed at blue. I never competed, at white, but when I got to blue, I did one like local promotion super fight against an older purple belt, and I won by ref's decision. And then I went to my coaches convinced me to go to Master Worlds because I was already old enough, and so I was like, well,
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Dude, I had the same exact experience as you. The first opponent literally pushed me out of bounds 5 times before we actually got into jujitsu. He was just like raging bullying me off the mats. Like, dude, we got to keep it, like we got to keep it in here somewhere. And I ended up winning one and losing one, but I, I don't love the competition. I don't have anything to prove. I don't need the
No,
expensive t-shirt. I
no,
don't need any of that shit. I'm just like trying to stay alive and stay moving.
no, dude. And especially after coming back from a surgery like that or a significant injury, because prior to that, I was never off the mat, dude. Bumps and bruises I
Yeah.
love that about
Me
jujitsu.
too.
I
Me
love the
too.
physicality of it, right? I don't feel like I'm training if I don't have a bump or a bruise, right?
Sure. Sure.
But after a significant injury like that, I came back and I'm like, dude, not only does winning not matter to me right now, like really, right? Like it'd be nice to, it's nice to catch things, but I'm like, I just want to enjoy this and I
Yeah.
want to enjoy it as long as I can,
Yeah.
right? And I want to go home and be able to walk without wondering if I badly sprained my knee or if I need another surgery.
Yeah. 100%.
But it's so cool, man.
Were you always interested in those kind of things in the physical?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Where do you
Fuck,
come from?
dude.
Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm from Sacramento, bro. I'm
Yeah.
from I'm from the hood. I'm from Del Paso Heights, DPH, bro.
Yeah, buddy.
I am from low rent North Sacramento.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had never even heard of jujitsu until we moved down here. And then the only reason I even became exposed to it was because me and one of my buddies we were looking for something to put our kids in. We have boys, and we were looking for something to put our kids in. It was highly recommended. The funny thing about having kids, right? Especially when your last name is Flowers and you've got a son, and what kind of experience they're going to have if it's anything like mine.
Sure.
Is like my biggest thing was he's got like he doesn't need to know how to fight because he needs to know how to run. But if he gets mounted, it would be a good idea for him to maybe figure out how to get out from at least the mount because we've all
Sure.
seen those videos of kids and adults and it's
It's
just
terrible.
ugly. So we ended up getting him in this class and he went to it for a long time, dude. And then I guess it's a typical scenario where parents are taking their kids and then they end up helping to coach. That
Yeah.
means they get on the mat. And then for me, it was like, well, fuck, that looks easy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks easy, right? I
You just laugh.
literally, I literally thought that looks easy, right? And I'm like, little by little, I'm on the mats. When Ryder's on the mats, then he's in a class and I'm in a class, and then the next thing you know, I'm addicted to it, right?
Yeah.
And it is not easy. It's the hardest thing. It's
Hands
the
down.
hardest physical activity I've ever done.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Mine too, for sure.
Oh,
No
hey,
question.
you'll love this, dude. I knew the writing was on the wall with Ryder because he'd been going since he was a young, like maybe I don't know, six, call it
Mhm.
six, and at about 11, right, we're leaving the academy, and he looks at me as we're walking to the car, and he goes, "Dad, you spend a lot of money on us to train jujitsu, right?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, we do." He goes, "And you like it, right?" I go, "I love it." He goes, "And I get beat up all the time, right?" And I'm like, this isn't going well.
Where's
I
this?
I I go, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, but I mean, that's like you're getting better, right?" And he squared me off, dude, and he goes, "It doesn't make a lot of sense for you to spend that kind of money on me when I don't enjoy anything about it, do you?" And I just looked at him like, "Fuck, dude, that's the most logical argument that I think you've been thinking about for a long time,
Oh,
and you
well, God.
finally found the courage to present it." And
Perfectly
I knew
executed.
right then, dude, that he was going to go home. And first thing he did, he went up to mom and goes, "Mom, you spent a lot of money for me to train jujitsu, huh?" And I'm like, fuck. And get this shit, dude. I was actually upset about the fact that he wanted to quit jujitsu.
Yeah.
And it took me a minute, dude, to get over that. Like I was resentful towards Ryder that he was calling it, right? Because to me, this was like, fuck, dude, you just haven't gotten to the point where you like it like I like it. Because if you liked
Yes.
it like me, you'd dig it.
Right.
And so I go and I talk to my professor, and he's like, he goes, he can't, he has a hard time pronouncing my name, right? So he calls me Twom,
Okay.
Twom. He goes, "No, no, Twom, Twom, no, 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 no." He trained a long time, long, long time. He goes, I apparently he didn't even start training until he was 13,
Yeah.
right? My professor.
Sure.
So he said, let him walk away if he wants to come back. He's got a great foundation.
Yeah.
And now he's 6'4", and I
Huh.
keep telling him, I'm like, dude, you'd have a phenomenal guard if you
Oh,
went back to
ridiculous.
jujitsu. But he
Ridiculous.
doesn't, it's not his gig, man.
Yeah. Hey, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
No, there was never any jujitsu for Haley. She was always just
No, see, I got a picture. She did one class with a guy who who's a black belt now. He was like a kid teacher,
okay.
just a kind of a phenom.
Mhm.
She did one class, and she would have been awesome at it, right?
Yeah.
But her thing has always been dance, and logically, there's the potential for injury that would.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, but man, I still have that picture somewhere. I was so proud, dude. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but now I'm
Absolutely.
just like, look, man, know how to handle business, and more importantly, know how to avoid business so you don't have to know how to do stuff. And
Well, it changes the way you look at people, right? It changes the way you think about situations and scenarios and how you view, even just your interactions with people. It's so the confidence is a different kind of thing, right? Like you're used to talking to people, but it changes. I don't know. Maybe for me, it changed how I sort of viewed other people. Like maybe how I assess threat levels or things like that. I'm not really
yeah.
sure if that's the right way
Well,
to.
well, let me tell you how Ryder and I assess threat levels when we're in public. Does he have cauliflower ear?
Didn't know. Yeah, 100%.
And is he wearing board shorts at any moment, right? Most of the cauliflower, dude, will be will be places, dude, and we're both. It's like we're keenly attuned to like noticing, but Ryder will go, "Do you see that guy's cauliflower ear?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go walk over on that side of the street."
Get out of here.
But the funny thing about even cauliflower ear at that point, so identifying cauliflower ear is just one component, right?
Sure.
But if we identify it and they look Brazilian, they'll be like, "Oh, we're good." Because
Yeah.
I haven't met a Brazilian I haven't met
It doesn't
a
have it.
dick. Well, first of all, I haven't met a Brazilian that doesn't have cauliflower ear, but more importantly, I have yet to meet, other than that coach harping on me at the competition. I haven't met a Brazilian in jujitsu that is anything that's a dick.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't. I just haven't, man. They're all generally nice and dangerous. It's
Yeah.
the other guys with cauliflower ear that I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
mm,
not sure. Yeah. So, you grew up in Sacramento.
mhm,
Obviously, I didn't know you, we're a couple of years apart, I think,
yeah.
and I didn't know you back then, and actually, it's kind of interesting that how we met, but what was, I spent some time in Del Paso Heights in, the junior high and high school times, um, but what was that like? You have, siblings? What was your situation like at home?
So mom and dad. So let's put it this way, right? Mom and dad. The living conditions between my father and my mother were toxic, right?
Uh,
And I was exposed to to I was exposed to uh I was exposed to things that no kid should really be exposed to, right? I mean, we can call it domestic abuse. We can call it just let's just call it a very toxic situation that over the years I've come to I've come to accept that they were doing the best that they could. They loved me, they just didn't love each other, right? And as a result of that, there was this very, very toxic environment. My little brother passes away. Mom and dad, thank God they finally divorced.
Mhm.
And then I'm young enough to where I'm faced with the decision, do I want to go live with mom or do I want to stay with dad, right? Well, mom went from like kind of like a innocent prom queen to look, her exit strategy was like, look, I've tried this. I'm going Grateful Dead, right?
Right.
Like, I've tried this, I'm going there. And
Yeah.
dad went from, yeah, I got to get my shit together. I'm going to go, I'm going to go kind of conservative Christian,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with either.
Sure.
But I was in the middle and I had to make a decision. And, for me, it was, I'm just going to stay with dad. Right. And um, inevitably, dad was great. We just, it just, Dude, the way that it worked out is I ended up at my grandparents' house. My grandparents owned a little tiny home in Del Paso Heights, a typical grandparents raising a kid kind of vibe
Sure.
because of extenuating circumstances, and that put me in Del Paso Heights.
Mhm.
And my experience in Del Paso Heights was great, but it was interesting, right? Because in the school system in Del Paso Heights, I went to Las Palmas for junior high. I went a year at Norte del Rio, and then I went to Grant High School, right? And let's just put it this way, right? I was one of the only white people in all of those schools,
Sure.
each one, right? And that was cool. That was fine. It just presented a certain set of challenges, right?
Yeah.
And and it didn't help that my father had gone to those schools, but 20 years earlier when there were really significant issues. So he had kind of, when he found out that I was going to be going to those schools, he was kind of like out of concern preparing me for the worst.
Sure.
And so it kind of set an idea of how it was going to be. And anyway, it was a great experience. Um, I appreciate where I grew up because let's just say that people where I live here today in Orange County, they don't have a multi-cult. We live in a bubble here. I had a great foundation for experiencing multicultural diversity and all that good stuff, and but it had its moments, man. Being a skinny little white kid named Thomas Flowers, fighting for autonomy all the time. You know what I mean? Feeling challenged all the time, whether real or perceived. And what it did was like I said, it gave me a wonderful understanding of who people really are. More importantly, it gave me a wonderful understanding of how to kind of navigate difficult situations, right? Or even if they're perceived difficult situations. And so I went to those schools. My second year at Grant High School, which is in Del Paso Heights, I had an opportunity to transfer over to Foothill High School, which is now we're in North Highlands, right? So it's a completely like the roles, the script is flipped, right? Now
Right.
I'm just another white kid at all white schools. And ironically, I'm hanging out with the minorities because I didn't fit in
Sure.
with all the other kids, there. So, uh, yeah, man, Del Paso Heights was cool. Del Paso Heights was um, if you think about it, Randy, I'm sure you remember this. Hey, leave and don't come back till the streets lights are on.
Yeah,
Right? It was kind
absolutely.
of one of those things.
Yep.
So I ran the streets of Del Paso Heights with a bunch of friends from these schools, and managed to not get in a lot of trouble, even though I could have.
Sure. So my first, I guess, my first memory of hearing your name
Mm,
was associated with um, we were so I went to Rio Linda High School, and,
Right.
the year that I graduated was the year that, the student Michelle Montoya was killed on the campus by that janitor guy, like,
Yeah.
2 weeks before graduation. And I first heard of you because a friend of ours, actually, Dan Camacho knew you guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
and, he was trying to put together some sort of a benefit concert for her family or something like that, and your guys' name got brought up. And at that point in time, uh, you know, I was firmly into the, Nirvana, Primus, of, all that
Sure.
stuff of the era, coming on. And then, I don't even think you guys had your first major album out yet.
Probably not. If it because I remember I seem to recall playing something in Rio Linda,
Yeah,
which outside of the music thing, I was my stepmother was from Rio Linda, so I actually was spent time in Rio Linda as a kid, man.
okay,
You know,
okay.
but I do remember that we played something in Rio Linda, and that wasn't at a club or anything like that. I think it was kind of like a sponsored event of some sort.
Yeah, yeah. It probably had something to do with that. It probably was revolved around those incidents and things like that. Um, but I remember then I was a little bit more aware of the music scene. Starting at that point, I'd already started playing bass in church and all that stuff. So I was obviously a fan, of the band at that time. It was part of the ecosystem that we were in. But wh- how did you? So you went from Del Paso Heights then to North Highlands, you're going to Foothill. When did the music stuff start to come in for you?
Yeah, so the reason I went to Foothill was to play baseball, right? Because at
Yeah,
that point, I'm still kind of like a sports guy. And baseball, look, it wouldn't happen with basketball, especially in those schools,
sure,
because it was abundantly clear to me that I had no skill compared to my schoolmates.
sure.
Football was, that wasn't going to work out because I never weighed more than I do now, right? And
Yeah,
so baseball was kind of the option. I go over to Foothill High School with a focus on baseball. And ironically, I mean, dude, I remember specifically, you know, I'm on the team. We're doing that first day of summer, kind of like back into it. We're doing wind sprints, and I'm just like, I just hated it.
yeah,
And more importantly, I'd had enough of that toxic masculinity that I'd been surrounded by,
sure.
just awful, dude. And again, going back to, you know, being a skinny white kid, with the last name Flowers, dude, I, being called, you know, flowy and shit like that, all those things. I remember specifically going, fuck this. I'm out of here. Fuck all of you guys. I'm going to do something that you're never going to be able to do. And on top of that, I'm going to bag your chicks. And I
Right.
swear to God, dude, I'm like, those were my motivations. Fuck you and fuck your chicks. And I'm jumping the fence. And I did, dude. I jumped the fence and I left and I was already hanging out with these artistic kids, right?
Yeah,
Like, ironically, these minorities that were at Foothill that I gravitated towards, and they were way into music, man, and they were turning me on to shit like the Smiths and Jane's Addiction and stuff like that, stuff that was kind of coming out. See, prior to that, my upbringing was all AM Motown and fucking Soul Train and American Bandstand. That's what me and my aunts listened to.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was all that, right? And it wasn't until I got over to Foothill that I even got turned on to anything regarding rock. And so I ended up I ended up hanging out with these dudes that had guitars but see, the funny thing is I knew right then I had to put a band together.
Mm.
You can't tell a chick that you're in a band if you're not in a band. That doesn't work,
Right.
right? So I'm not kidding, Randy. I'm like, well, I just started picking shit up and I'm like, the easiest thing to do here, and especially at the time, because it was 86, keyboard, right? I'm like, fuck, that's it. Keyboard.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So me and a few people from the school, Eric Broyhill and a couple of other dudes from school, we put a band together and I was a keyboard player in that band. Right. And we did some shit and then we did a funny story. We finally got to play this good club, like an actual club. And it like there was a green room and a stairwell. I can't think of the name of the club. But anyway, we had these big designs, right? It was going to be like dark. I'm going to quietly go down to the stage. I'm going to start playing keyboard, set the mood. Everybody's kind of going on, like you would think of for a show intro.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to start playing my little two-fingered thing and the band kicks in, lights come up. That was the plan,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Well, they didn't have the ability to turn the lights down. So my stupid ass had to walk down the stairs. Everybody sees me. I got to go to fucking keyboard. I can't, my keyboard's not working right. So there's that. I'm by myself on the fucking stage. Everybody from school is looking at me. I'm just like, fuck. And then I'm sitting there going, I'm like the totally dejected guy going, guys come down. We end up playing the show. And that was my first introduction to being on a stage and going, well, I mean, it wasn't exactly what I had imagined, but there was something
Sure.
about it that I was like, oh, it's kind of fucking cool. And then after the show, I could legitimately go up to all those chicks and be like, that's my band,
Yeah.
you know?
Dude, it's so funny, and I completely forgot about this, but we had a little get together last night, and, I was talking to another one of our black belts that has been at the academy for a while. Does the name Alan Sanchez ring a bell to you?
Does ring a bell.
So Alan was Eric Broyhill's roommate for a while while you guys were, I guess, while
But
you guys were.
Cashmere, we
Yeah.
were fucking called Cashmere, dude. We
And so
were,
so
yeah.
Alan goes, "Oh, yeah, I've always been into music around here. Me and my buddy Eric Broyhill used to hang out you know the band?" He goes, "You know the band Oleander?" There it is, dude.
Look at that
Yes.
shit, dude. That's me on
Yes.
the end. Yep, look, that's me with the flock of seagulls hair.
That's so good, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah, do you know Oleander? And I go, yeah. He goes, "Oh man, I used to hang out with Tom Flowers all the time." I go, "Dude, Tom's coming on the podcast tomorrow." He's like, "Oh my God." His mind was blown.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
humble beginnings, dude, but that's kind of how it started.
So how long did you rock and roll with Cashmere?
Oh, dude, that was a short-lived venture. I mean, look, man, we that was a high school band, right? So we were together. I think we put it together in my junior or senior year. I think it took the better part of like my junior year for us to put it together enough to actually play that show. And then once we graduated, everybody went off and did their own thing. And for me, because I knew already that that's what I wanted to do. There was no doubt about that, right?
Mhm.
But I did not necessarily want to play keyboard and be in the background. Because
Sure.
again, Randy, the priority here, right?
Right.
The priority is keyboards get chicks, singers really get
I
chicks,
mean, it's
right?
undeniable.
So I tried doing this just the singer thing, but ironically, I ended up working with a couple of guys that we had smoking a lot of pot and drinking a lot of beer in common, right?
Sure.
So one was a bass player, one was a guitarist, and I had no. I just knew I wanted to do something, and we'd hang out at the bass player's place, smoke weed, and he had an acoustic guitar with four strings on it, low four, right?
Mhm.
And we literally forever, for the longest time, it was like a bong, a remote, and the acoustic, right? And the three of us. And we would pass each to each other. And the bass player played the acoustic guitar like a bass because he just dropped it into drop D,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
So
right.
I'm watching him, and he's even playing with his fingers on this acoustic guitar. And every time he'd hand it to him, like, well, that's fucking cool. Show me how you do that. And because it was in drop D, I only had to play with one finger on this hand.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
like, oh, fuck, I can do this. right? Like
Yeah,
this is the perfect thing. TV, bong, guitar. And as soon as he handed me that acoustic guitar and showed me what drop D was, and the more that I it was my turn to play it, I'm like, oh, that's when it became jujitsu for me. That's when it was like fucking Rubik's cube, and I'm figuring this is my ticket. And then on top of that, it didn't hurt that the musical kind of trend at the time had gotten away from classical, bar chord shit to fucking just like it was perfect. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like the onset of grunge made it absolutely perfect and allowable for you to just pick. You can play fucking two string. It doesn't matter, man, as long as it sounds good.
right. Was
And
that
and
was it
I knew that.
Presidents of the United States of America? Didn't they only have, like, 2 or 3 strings on their guitars?
They probably did. Man,
Yeah,
this was even before then, but I
yeah,
was just like, dude, I was like, okay, now I know what I want to do. So here's the thing is I had to learn how to play, and then I had to learn how to play and sing.
mm,
So the learning how to play wasn't like when I say learning how to play, it's not, I still don't know how to play guitar. I just know how to do what I do in drop D.
yeah,
It was how to make the guitar sound good. And mostly what I was doing is I would listen to songs I like and just try to follow basically the root chords or
sure,
the bass note, right? So once I figured out how to be able to do that, like play play along with songs and in time, then it was okay. And that took a couple of years. Then it was okay. Let's figure out the coordination between singing and playing, because remember, I still want to be a singer because that's it. And and as soon as I started figuring out the coordinations between singing and playing and how to do both, not just play something and stop and sing, but actually play over music, that took a while, dude.
yeah,
It was easier to do it with really simple chords, and if I'm singing on the ons and everything and blah blah blah.
sure,
But it took a little while for me to get that coordination down, and then maybe a couple of years to get all of that to that point. And then it was like, okay, now I got to figure out how to write songs, because I
mhm,
still hadn't put a band together. I was just, I was fucking obsessed with this guitar. And then as soon as I started, you know what it's like, dude. You start getting creative and you hear something in your head that's starting to translate, even the slightest little bit of it's translating on the guitar. No, all anybody else hears are you fucking around with two strings on a guitar, but in your head, you're hearing the entire thing, right?
yeah,
You're hearing like fucking complete songs in your head. And once that started happening, it was like, I gotta put a band together.
yeah.
And and if you wanna know how I did that, I'm assuming that's probably the next thing you wanna know?
Well, I mean, do you wanna talk about it, or I mean, this is your world, buddy. I'm just, along for the ride.
Alright, so well, I mean, that's kinda where we're going, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, sure.
okay. So, knowing that I wanna be a musician, and I don't know what your experience was like, because by the way, everybody, Randy is a musician as well. Um, Musicians generally tend to work back then in places like coffee shops and restaurants, right? So that was my experience. I was a busboy or I was a dishwasher or whatever in these eating, restaurant environments. And I was a busboy at a restaurant in Old Sac called Fat City.
Mm,
And my angle then was to get to know the bartenders as a busboy so that I would offer, hey, listen, I'm going to hook you up. I'm going to bust your tables, but you're going to kick me down free drinks at the end of the night, because that's who I am. Got
sure.
to get drunk.
Yeah.
And uh, there was a guy, bartender Doug Eldridge he was bartending, and got to know Doug, and it turned out that he was already in a band. And I'm like, well, listen, that's interesting because I play guitar and I've got some songs I'd love. We just started connecting on that level. He was still in a band, Overnight Blonde, that was actually doing something in
Yeah,
town, and I was just not. But we had chicks, and we had chicks and drinking and music in common. We saw each other all the time. We started getting together. There was clearly something going on, and we started hanging out. And slowly but surely, I'd present him with these really, really basic song ideas, and he played bass on them, and we just started bonding.
Yeah.
We started hanging out all the time. I'd go to their shows, and then uh, I'm like, let's put something together, and we did, and it was like that. It was very Spinal Tap. We had, fuck, dude, we couldn't find, we need a guitarist, can't find a guitarist. Finally found Rick, thank God.
Yeah.
Drummers, dude, like fucking couldn't find a drummer. I mean, the shit show of auditions for drummers was very fucking Spinal Tap-ish. Um, but
Well, that ended up
y-
being kind of a thing that you guys dealt with forever, right? I mean,
mhm,
you guys were always cycling through a drummer at
yeah,
some point, like it just that was just the thing.
yeah. Well, I mean, and thank God it was. I mean, dude, of course, a drummer. It's not like a fucking keyboard player where you can kind of get away without a keyboard player. You
Yeah.
kind of have to have a decent drummer in your band, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But we found Fred. When we found Fred Nelson, it was that we were like, okay, cool, we're good. Let's go. All right, we've got it. Let's go. And that's when we started working together as a band. What I would do is I would go away. I'd have 72-hour weekends locked up in fucking hotel rooms and whatnot with just my guitar, bong, and whatever else. And I'd come to the band room on Mondays and I'd have a gang of songs, real simple songs, but I'd present them to the guys. They go, that one's good. That one's good. That one's not good. That one's not good. That one's good. And we just started slowly building a chemistry and building a thing, and then,
Is
yeah.
there a is is there a song from those early days that you put together that ended up being a long lifer? Like something like which song do you think you wrote that has had the longest life?
Well, I mean, obviously, why I'm here is still, remarkably, getting played, even if it's only on a couple of satellite stations. It's still
Sure.
getting played.
Yeah.
I Walk Alone has managed to be one of those songs over the last 30 years that people really want to hear.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything off of February Sun, has had a little bit of a life, but definitely Why I'm Here, dude. That one and I Walk Alone are the ones that have, stood the kind of test of time.
Now, Why I'm Here was also on Shrinking the Blob, right?
Yeah, but yeah, Why I'm Here was on like our it was on our demo, then it was
Mhm.
on our independent kind of like better demo.
Yeah.
And then we got signed, and then it ended up being a lot of those songs that were on the demos ended up being on February Sun.
Yeah, it's interesting because I listened to those so much that when February Sun actually came out, it was almost hard to sink into the newer, cleaner versions of them, like, I was so, like, already the catalog was just part of the vernacular in that sort of raw, beautiful, like, play I really am comfortable in that spot, I really enjoy it, I like the rawness and the less polished, and, uh and so it was an interesting thing, like, it was amazing, I still love the album, but I really was super into those earlier recordings once, like I said, once I found you guys and I started actually listening to them. um,
Well,
I
we
think
were
what
too. Like, we
Yeah,
were too, obviously, right? You know what I mean? It's like we call it demoitis, right? Because you get so attached to like the version that you came up with because you love it. That's the
yeah,
version that you. And then by the t- by the time that we got into the studio to record February Sun, we're with we because we'd been working with Rich Mauser, but he wasn't available. So we had this guy Steven Hagler, who was he just I think he just tracked Fuel, and he's a reputable cat, but he wasn't who we were used to, and his recording process was different. And you know, as singers generally tend to be opinionated and very kind of
what?
tied. Yeah, it's true. Very kind of like locked into what they think something should sound like. So it's difficult. It's always been difficult for me to labor, to toil at something, get it where I want it to be, bring it to somebody, and then have them go, yeah, okay, cool, but we're going to do this with it. And you're like, fuck, I didn't write it like that.
Yeah.
Rich Mauser's a perfect example of that, dude. I would take stuff to Rich, and we knew each other so well that he would go, "Okay, well, we're just gonna keep this small portion of the song and we're gonna build around it."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" He's like, "No, no, 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 just this slice of the song is the only part of the song that you've worked on for 3 months that sounds good. Everything else, we're not getting rid of it. We're just going to use this part and build around it." And of course, my first reaction was like, "Fuck you,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing, right? If you're willing, because ultimately at the end of the day, like the worst thing that could happen is we record it and I go, "Fuck you, we're not putting that out." And we could revert to what I originally had in mind. But I had the willingness to go, "All right, all right, we're gonna try it, but it's gonna suck, and then we're gonna listen. We're gonna tell you it sucks." And fuck, it never sucked. It never sucked. It fucking never sucked. You know?
You know, I love Rich so much. Like I love him. I love his personality. I love how he works. And I'm like, you know me, I'm such a straight shooter. Like give me the hard, honest truth, right? Like no,
Yeah.
don't sugarcoat it, don't pat it. And it's funny because having started that relationship with Rich because of you, I think he just skipped right past that getting to know you part, and he was like, "I'm just gonna tell you this sucks now, and we're we're gonna move on." I was like,
But
"Oh, nice to meet you."
there's something so cool about that. Like,
The
really.
best. It's the best.
Well, hang on a second. No, no, no. Let me rephrase this. There's something cool about it when the end result is fucking better than you ever imagined.
Sure, sure, sure,
If
sure.
that dude told me we're only gonna use this slice and then we fucking went to work on it for a month, and after dropping 5 or 10 grand, it sounded like something I never want to listen to, that
Yeah,
would be a different story.
for
But that
sure.
just wasn't the case with that guy. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. So, how was there a moment when you felt like, "Okay, like, I feel like this is actually it's not just a dream, it's not just what I've always wanted to do, like, I really like, whoa, something is happening here, like, this is getting more serious." Do you have a specific recollection of when that started to happen?
Well, you have to keep in mind that I was convinced that that it was gonna happen when I picked up the acoustic guitar in that
Sure,
room, dude. I mean,
sure.
I was convinced that it was gonna happen when I hopped the fence and dyed my hair jet black and picked up a keyboard.
Yeah,
But so I've always lived in that state of delusion slash confidence. But yeah, dude, the band that wasn't even called Oleander at the time. It's like was called Jack.
yeah,
You know, was we when you play consistently and people keep showing up, you're like, "Mm, okay." And then more people show up and you're like, "Oh, okay." And naturally over time, anybody who keeps at it's going to get better at what they do. So we started writing better songs, yeah, I'd say we started writing better songs, or they were certainly better. I was because they were so rudimentary at first, right? Because remember again,
you're maturing, right? You're maturing as a musician and
yeah,
songwriter.
yeah, the song quality is getting those songs are getting better. Our live shows are getting better. People are showing up, and we're starting to get you know what it's like, dude. In Sacramento, it was a fucking phenomenal time. People don't understand that the '90s in Sacramento was
That's ridiculous.
like we had our own Seattle moment, dude.
Yeah,
It just nobody knew about it.
yeah.
Like, this because all the bands in the '90s that were around, some of which made it, some didn't, but more importantly, all the bands that came through Sacramento before they blew up. Like, bro, I was laughing the other day because I was telling this guy, I'm like, dude, I'd get a flyer. It would say, I go, who would fucking name their band Smashing Pumpkins? That's a stupid name,
Right.
right? We go see them at the Cattle Club, be blown away. Next thing you know, they're the biggest band on the planet.
Yeah,
I remember going, Pearl Jam, that's a cool name. Little weird. No
yeah,
idea who they are. They end up playing through. Sacramento had a phenomenal. It was just a fucking eclectic place with diverse quality music. I mean, it wasn't just grungy shit. It was like Sex 66 and, and other bands that from different styles.
Yeah.
And we were admittedly, we were not cool and we were never considered cool.
Mm,
We were tenacious. We never went away, right? We weren't fucking cool. There was nothing cool. We were not cool. The people that liked us thought we were cool, but Sacramento, what was going on inside, we were never considered the cool band. Even when we got to the point where we sold out the Crest Theater 2 nights in a row, right?
mm,
And and I don't even think at that point we were, you know what I mean? Dude, I'm not. This is no criticism, but I don't know what you think about the Candlebox experience. But Candlebox is one of those bands that came up and sold a fuck ton of albums, still getting played same time as Soundgarden, Nirvana, all the other bands,
yeah,
Mudhoney, all
yeah,
the other bands. They were never held at the same level of cool as those other bands.
yeah,
And I never understood that, right?
yeah,
Especially after we toured with those guys, because that was gloves off. I learned more from those guys in 99 than almost any other band. But
yeah.
we were kind of like that, right? We won despite. And I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I knew once people started showing up on a regular basis, and more importantly, once magazines like Alive and Kicking, you know how everybody wanted, you know how you always wanted to get, just
I
come
mean,
on, man, give me a fucking name in there somewhere, just something,
yeah,
right? As soon
yeah,
as we got on the cover of Alive and Kicking, I'm like, okay, cool.
yeah,
That's when I'm like, okay, we got a shot.
yeah. It was such a having and I remember the time so much, so clearly, and having, I probably started really pushing for the music thing, after that in, like, early 2000s or so, but it was much more like it was so exciting because we knew that Sacramento was on the map on some level. Oleander was here, was from here. Uh,
Deftones, Papa Roach,
Deftones, Papa
Tesla,
Roach, yeah, like
fucking Simon
all those bands,
Says,
right?
all
Like,
these
and
bands.
it was a crazy time, and we thought,
Hmm.
I can do this. It was sort of like everybody felt when Guitar Center opened up and you could buy everybody, all the gear you wanted everywhere. It was like everybody, whether they were talented or not, there was a shot. You guys kind of cracked that door open, right? And so we all thought, oh, we could try to squeeze through here, and it's just a fascinating social
Well, I
experiment, right?
mean, I think that's perfectly framed, right? Because again, you gotta take into consideration nobody fucking expected Oleander to crack the door at all. Like
Right.
that was just not. I did. They didn't. Nobody
Yeah.
else did. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I think Doug was cautiously optimistic. I was like, "Fuck, we're there." You
We're
know what I
here.
mean? But it just ended up happening. And then
So you start to experience that fame, right? And then you instantly become clean and sober, and you have this
mm-mm,
amazing home
no,
lives,
nope,
right?
nope,
Like all that stuff
no.
just lined up for you.
Nope. Mm-mm. Couldn't be the worst thing that could have happened to a guy like me is fucking I got to go do that for a living. That's the worst thing that could have happened for a guy like me.
Yeah.
Look, man, the band prior up until I don't know, man, 99, I was predominantly a fucking pothead who drank a lot of beer,
Yeah.
right? But Randy, listen, my friend, there from an early age, like I'm talking early, early, early age, like maybe 7 or 8. When I tried alcohol for the very first time in my life, the effect it produced was something that I knew I wanted to feel that way as often as possible for the rest of my life.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to chase that for the rest of my life and occupy my time with as much of that relief, you know what I mean? All of that. So I went from sneaking drinks when grandma's not looking, Ernest and Julio Gallo wine,
Sure.
to smoking weed, to progressing to through high school, not really getting into too much stuff. By the time that I got to by the time that I was really, really doing the band thing, and it's certainly by the time that we got to uh the professional starting gate, I mean, it couldn't it I couldn't have been more primed for being the guy, being the stereotype
Yeah.
of what happens to guys that go on the road because um now I have literally 22 hours out of the day where I have no obligations.
Right.
Like
Right.
nothing, dude. I got nothing to like you don't need me to do anything for 22 hours. And even that 1 hour that or 1.5 hours where I'm technically working, okay, I'm on a fucking stage and I'm fucking doing this thing that's autopilot. It's
Yeah.
not really working. I can actually do that fucked up, sometimes better than others, but for the
Sure.
most part,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So by the time that we hit the road, I realized that I was not cut out for that kind of a lifestyle
Yeah.
at that time, right?
Did it
So
well,
I got introduced to everything early in those days.
yeah.
And it was like, oh, yes, I would love to try cocaine. Absolutely. I would love to do this. I would love to do that. And it was like, oh, fuck. Okay. Let's add them all. Let's do it all. And I
Yeah.
was doing it all every fucking day from the moment that I woke up. It got exponentially worse when I got on the road because I wasn't built for being away from friends and family. I wasn't built for lack of structure and discipline. You know what I mean? It's like, so I, that's when my alcoholism and drug abuse, that's where it kicked off, dude.
So the original the original sort of mentality you had that, "Fuck you, I'm gonna take your chick," right?
Mhm.
Uh, does that mentality, like, sort of like everything else, just kinda get swept aside for the pursuit of that feeling and staying in that like, how does
Mhm.
that what is the mindset there?
Same thing. Same thing, dude. Same thing. It went from fuck you, I'm gonna fuck your chick to fuck you, I'm gonna steal your drugs. It's the same thing, dude. I just added I just added I am the singer of a band, singer-songwriter of a band. That means you can't kick me out. I am going to like you're gonna go to my show because your chick wants to see my band,
Yeah.
right? To all I did was added and I'm gonna be as fucked up as possible as often as possible because I can't deal with life on life's terms. And it was a really bizarre fucking thing, right? Because here we are having an opportunity to do something that very few people ever get the opportunity to do at that level.
Yeah.
And that's not even it was we would dude, we just like I'm not saying we were Everest ever, right? But we
Sure.
got to do it at that level. And and I couldn't handle what came along with being able to do that. So I dove into more drinking, more drugs, right? And when I look back on it now, like what we were able to accomplish over the course of those albums and those years with me specifically being as under the influence as I was during the at least for sure the first two albums, right? So that's 4 years right there. It's remarkable, right? Because um not so much the first album. The first did first album studio, it was short-lived. We were in the studio for about 2 weeks, smoking a lot of pot, drinking a lot, but by the time I came back from 2 years on the road, 2 years on the road, I think we did maybe 1 year we fuck man, 1 year we never did less than 130 shows,
Mm,
right? 1 year, because we were doing really well, we did over we did almost 200, if not more than 200. So we're right because that's how you got to do it, right?
yeah.
We're gone for 3 months at a time, gone for 4 months at a time, home for 3 days. I get home for 3 days. I'm basically detoxing, right, when I'm home.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, touring's done. Got to get in a studio. Now we're in a fucking bigger studio at the plant. We've got 2 months and this enormous budget to fucking record an album. We had our whole lives to write the songs for February Sun. Now we've got fucking 2 months to write and record these songs that are going to be on this second album, and I'm fucking barely there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, now I'm not just smoking pot and drinking. In fact, I'm not really doing those as much as I'm doing the stimulants and the pills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of that. And there's a funny story about we were at the plant, just to give you an idea, right? We were at the plant and uh they're fucking recording Doug's bass, right? You know, and he's got a giant Aguilar and it's in a fucking soundproof and, you know, whatever. And they can't find me. They're looking for me. They can't find me. They're looking everywhere for me, which is not uncommon. Um, and I don't know how they found me. I think the engineer just happened to look in the fucking isolation room with the fucking Aguilar. But apparently I had fucking crawled in there and nodded out while that thing's at fucking 11 and Doug's recording bass. You know, you talk about why I've got hearing loss these days, dude. I'm sure that didn't help, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Right. And then I remember they just they're kind of waking me up to go, hey, you know, it's your turn to whatever. And I'm like, okay, you know, I don't even know where the fuck I am, right?
yeah,
Let alone that I was sleeping in a base cabinet room, whatever.
yeah,
You know, I mean, it just wasn't good for a guy like me, man, because you know, I should have been able to appreciate all of it. And I do appreciate it now, and I appreciated it then. But Randy, this'll sum it up for you, okay? I remember specifically playing the Spectrum in Philadelphia, right, with Creed.
mhm,
It's a legendary fucking place, man. It's on the fucking calendar, and I'm like, oh my God, right? I'm like Madison Square Garden's the only thing, you know, I'm just looking at it like, fuck. Man, the place is packed, maybe 16,000 people, not all there to see us, obviously. They're there to see the headlining band. But I got a lot of people in front of me, dude. And from the fucking moment I was walking up the stairs, all I could think of was this is a fucking inconvenience. I can't wait for this to be over with so I can go back to the hotel and get high.
mhm, mhm,
That was every day,
mhm,
every show. So think about that, dude. Here we
yeah,
are getting the opportunity to do something that very few people get to do. And I'm not even fully present enough to be able to not only appreciate it, but you know,
yeah,
you know, I like, dude, you've been to our shows, when I'm waving and I walk, I generally exit the fucking place. Like,
yeah,
I'm not like in the old days, like, you know why you didn't see me after the show? Because I was already finding whoever I needed to find to get fucked up.
yeah,
And I didn't want to hang out with you guys unless you had something I wanted. I'm like, I'm getting comatose. Because the only two feelings I ever wanted to feel then at my worst, I wanted to feel euphoric and I wanted to feel comatose. And
yeah,
that's it. Right.
yeah,
So how we managed to fucking, you know, we never canceled the show either in all those years. We probably should have. I've heard some of the audio recordings of us when I was at my best,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, we managed to get through it, man.
So that is where I think probably that period of time towards the end of that is where we make our connection, right? Because I actually knew your dad before,
Yeah.
uh, and my wife Michelle knew him and knew you actually from church when they were kids, which is so ironic, right?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I think she still has some pictures of you singing in like a church play too, or something
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah.
But when I met you, we had connected because you knew Michelle, and you were back in Sacramento, and you hadn't been married to Lindy very long, and she was pregnant.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
and what's that?
that go
Yeah,
ahead, keep going.
here we go. So we had just started talking to each other and just kind of connecting and getting to know each other a little bit. And I get a call from you one day, and you said, "Well, Randy," and your voice was different. And you said, "I fucked up." I fell off the wagon. And,
You did.
and I said, I go, "Oh, okay, like, well, let's talk. Thanks for calling me. Like, let's talk about it." And, and you said, "My wife just bought a house full of white furniture and carpets, and, I just drank a liter of cranberry juice and took some pills and threw up red cranberry juice all over her brand new white stuff everywhere." You said, "I'm probably not gonna be talking to you for a while. I think I'm taking a ride." And then we hung up, and I was like, "Oh my god." And the very next thing that I heard about it, Lindy had called me, and she said, "Tom and I are taking a drive today. He's gonna be checking in somewhere, and, I'll keep you posted," which I thought was amazing, right? I mean, God, I love it. I love her. She's just that was crazy because she definitely we were brand new. Like, she didn't have to do that, you know? Walk me through a little bit of that time, right? Because right
Yeah,
after that, that's where we really, I think, get into the name of the podcast is Sweeter After Difficulty, right? And
yeah,
so we wanna tell these stories that emphasize that there is a sweeter on the other side of the difficulty, right? And I feel like that's one of these places for you, maybe the place for you where you really turned a corner from that rehab. And so, yeah, if you don't mind, if you walk us through
yeah.
that.
So a little bit of backstory to that particular situation. So we are. I remember, we were in Detroit. We played a show. We got a call from Brian Coleman. He says, "Hey, you're going home." I'm like, "Cool. For how long?" He goes, "Don't know," because typically it'd be a few days and we're back out. He goes, "I don't know." So I'm like, "Cool." So I get home. I had no idea that my career was over, right? I mean, it was done because basically what happened was the record label at the time, what they weren't seeing the organic kind of uh, data to want to keep throwing money at the project so that we could keep going out there and promoting something that they thought wasn't going to work out. So I ended up getting home and trying to be sober. Right, I'm like trying to be sober at this point. Like I want to get sober, but I can't get sober now. Kind of thing. And I basically get home. I get dropped off to a very pregnant wife, a home that we just bought that has a mortgage, and I realized quickly that my career is over, right? And the next thing that I realize is that I am, for all intents and purposes, unemployable because dude, I've got a great resume for fucking music. I'd have no resume and the crazy thing
Yeah.
is now I'm trying to be sober and I'm trying to be responsible, and I don't know where to begin with either. And I am going out and trying to find employment, and I can't find employment, right? So, I mean, I'm telling you, I applied every fucking where I applied. Anyway, long story short is I did what alcoholics and drug addicts do, man. I mean, I went back to the one thing I know how to do. You know what I mean? I do that well. And so Lindy, who's very pregnant, is still working. She's working. Leaves one day to go to San Francisco, which is 2.5 to 3 hours drive both ways to go
Yeah.
work. I decide to go pay a visit to my pharmacist. I come back and I don't even remember it, but you know what? That makes sense because Lindy told me that she thought it was blood. It
Yeah.
was cranberry juice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Thank God it wasn't blood. It was cranberry juice. But anyway, after laboring through a day, she comes home and she finds me in the worst possible condition ever. And fortunately for her, you know, she she got on the phone and started calling around. She couldn't find help locally. She couldn't find help at all. She got a hold of management. Management got a hold of this guy. His name's Bob Timmons. He was the industry dude for sobriety, and she got a hold of this guy. She drove me in a state of absolute fucking blackout. She drove me to LA. I've I vaguely remember sitting across from this dude and him looking at me and looking at Lindy. And I clear as day remember him saying to her, "Kurt sat in his chair, Chris Farley sat in his chair. And
Uh,
I think they had a better shot of making it than your husband. I just need
oh
you to
my
know
god.
this." And I got pissed and I got up And I went to the bathroom. I had pills in my pocket. I chewed them down, came
Mm,
back, sat down in the chair, said, fuck you. Next thing I'll wake up in a rehab.
mm,
Best thing could have ever happened to me, right? But it's funny, man, because I tell this story at meetings. I literally woke up in a rehab and I had no fucking idea where I was, which is not common, right? I mean, usually I'm in a hotel room. I might not know what city I'm in, but I know that okay, it's a band related hotel.
right.
So I look over and there's this dude I do not know laying in the bed next to me, and he's a scary looking motherfucker. Turns out he was one of the Cash Money Millionaire rap guys, and I'm like, "Hi, my name's Thomas." He's like, tells me who he is, and he informed me that I'm in rehab. And I thought, okay, well, I must be here for the weekend. He goes, no, you're going to be here for 30 days. I'm like, okay.
Mm,
So the funny thing about rehab is, I had to be medically detoxed because that's how toxic I was.
yeah,
Right. So I
right.
had to be medically detoxed. They had to keep me sedated for a certain number of days to level me off and all that good shit. That's when I woke up. So the funny thing about rehab is they don't allow you to see family or talk to family for about, I don't know, 7 days. Right. What I realized is very smart. They don't do that for my benefit. They do that to give the family a break from me, right? Because
Sure.
I'm a fucking tornado.
Yeah.
And if they are giving them a break, letting them know, hey, he's good, he's safe, don't worry about it. You need a break. So when I finally got to see Lindy after about 7 days of being in rehab, I see her and I'm like feeling great because I'm not high and I'm detox, right?
Yeah.
But I'm feeling great, but there's an arrogance about me. You know what I
Mm,
mean? I'm like, because I still don't realize what has happened.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought I had a bad weekend. And 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 she informs me that I had actually blacked out for about 2 weeks,
Mm,
and it wasn't just like her coming home and finding me sleeping in a bed, right? It was like, let's put it this way. When she said, "Do you know what it was like, what it's been like for me to wake up in the morning and see our neighbors knowing that when they've woken up in the morning to take their kids to school, they've had to find you on their front porch in your underwear sleeping?
right.
And they have to tell their kids you're not dead. They step over you
Ugh,
to get their kids to school. And then I have to come over there to collect you and bring you home." Right.
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, so when she started telling me some of the crazy shit that was going on over that 2 week blackout period, that's when I realized that I was at a crossroad, man. Dude, I'm either going to get this shit and live or I'm going to die. And that's just it. Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that for years on the road, I wanted to get sober. I just couldn't get sober. It's a really difficult place to get sober, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I threw myself into this, I realized this was my shot. And I threw myself into what they were laying down in that rehab. And I got exposed to 12-step sobriety, and I got exposed to meetings. And I realized quickly that I was terrified of leaving. Like, I knew I was only going to be there for 30 days, and I knew that we couldn't afford for me to be there longer. And I knew that at the end of that 30 days, I had to leave this place. And I was terrified because I knew that I had no skills whatsoever for dealing with whatever that was going to be without what I used to do. And I had none of that.
Yeah.
So, fortunately, um, when my time in rehab ended and I walked out that door, I had a foundation, little bit of a foundation, and I jumped right into the first thing that they told me that I had to do, which was change everything, right?
Mm,
Change everything. Family, friends, environment, everything. It's all got to change. And I took it seriously. So the first thing that we did was we had to go back to Sacramento, but I could not, I could not see, mingle, talk to anybody other than Lindy and a couple of family members. Because I even had family members. There was stress around the family that was causing me to feel like I
yeah.
needed to do this because I couldn't deal with that.
Yeah.
And then we moved. We moved down to. We were getting ready to have Haley. No, we had Haley in Sacramento. We had Haley. I think we were getting ready to have Ryder
Yep.
or something along those lines, and we got the fuck out. and we got down here, and I immediately got into tapped in here, and you know, shit got good, man. Fuck, dude. Everything they talk about. I was healthier. I was happier than I'd ever been.
Yeah.
They call it the promises coming true. So see what I did during those years on the road with all that baggage and damage is I systematically pushed anyone of value out of my life, right? Because you
Mm,
can't trust me. Because I'm
right.
breaking into your house, I'm stealing your shit, I'm coming over unannounced. I really only want to go through your medicine cabinets and see what you got. You know what I mean? Everything that you would imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I managed to put 4 years together, and it was the best 4 years of my life, and everything came true, right? All of the relationships were restored, everything. And the next thing you know, man, one day I just woke up and I'm like, I have a day off. I'm gonna take a day off. And I'm like, in my head, I said, it was like I ran down this checklist of like, nope, can't do that. Nope, can't do that. Nope. Oh, well, you never really had an issue with Vicodin. Well, the
Right.
funny thing is, bro, Randy, the funny thing about that is that, I forgot that I was eating them like 6 or 9 at a time when I would eat them.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but my dumb ass says, "Hey, I'm going to take a day off," and that one I never really had a problem with. That's manageable. I'm just gonna take a day off. I'm gonna go and it was back on, dude. And of course I did whatever it took to get them, and I got them. And then fucking it wasn't one day off, and I'm right back at it, and I'm doing all this crazy, insane shit. And of course Lindy finds me, and of course Lindy catches it, and I'm right back to fucking homeless and living in my car and begging people to live in their garage. And I've burned it all to the ground again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fortunately, God saw fit to get me back into the rooms of the only thing that ever worked for me. Um and I got right back to doing all the things that had worked for me for those 4 years. And the only difference is that I don't Now, fortunately, I don't wake up anymore thinking I gotta take a day off, right, from that shit.
Yeah, sure.
But, I don't take days off from it, right? It's just I just keep doing what's been, working. And, in
Yeah.
October, it'll be 18 years,
Hey, bro.
and in that 18-year period of time, promises came true again,
Uh,
fucking all kinds of great shit happened, you know what I mean? But, tying it back into the music thing. So over the last 18 years, we put a we the last two albums hardly anybody knows about, but definitely the last album that we put out nobody knows about because there wasn't any fucking marketing money for it, right?
yeah, yeah.
But it happens to be one. I love February Sun, but Something Beautiful happens to be my favorite album, right?
Yeah, it's a great album.
So we're getting ready to put that album out, and I just, fucking social media is this new thing to me. I have no idea, whatever. We're trying to navigate that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we put something out online that we're putting out an album, and I get this random fucking DM, I guess you call it, from Chris Daughtry of all people, right? And he's like,
Mm,
"Hey, bro," he goes, We need to connect. I want to talk to you." And I'm like, first of all, I don't even know that it's really him, but when I find out that it really is, we talk. And he tells me that he goes, "Bro, you're not gonna remember this, but back in, like, '99, we played on a one-off, but, we're on tour with the bands, but when you have days off, you can fill it up with doing nothing or you can do other shows.
sure.
Apparently, we decided to do a chili cook-off. We played a chili cook-off in Roanoke, Virginia,
Okay.
right? And and I remember it was fucking cool as fuck because I love chili, but I don't remember this." He said, "Dude," he goes, "I gave you a demo cassette tape." That's how long ago it was. He goes,
Yeah,
"I gave you a demo cassette. You were so cool to me." I don't know if I listened to it or not, but I was never that guy that would be like, "No, man, I'm good." I took it,
right, right.
and I don't remember it. Anyway, he goes, "We're going." He goes, "I know you guys have toured Three Doors Down. We're getting ready to go out on the road with them again. We'd love to have you out in an opening slot."
Mm,
And I was a little bit conflicted, right? Because I'm like, "Fuck, I haven't done that in a long time." So Uh, that was we did a month and I was sober and I realized how much I missed and how much I loved it. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like now, so fast forward, we don't play a show. We start playing shows again here and there, but the last show that we played was in 2018,
Mhm.
right? Thunder Valley with Tesla and whatnot. And then we get
Great
an
show, by the
off.
way. Super
Well, I
fun.
don't, I think I recall it, but that's not because of, that's just old age and senility this
Right.
time. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, we got an offer to, Creed does this cruise festival every year. They've been doing it for a few years now. And they've been offering us to do it, but the money wasn't enough for us to, it didn't make sense. So fast forward in April of this year, we agreed to do it. It made sense. And Lindy got to go. And we hadn't played a show since 2018 and it was fucking amazing. And I
Yeah.
came back from it going, and I'm completely sober the whole time. And it was fucking everything that I should have been like, or I wish I would have been like that whole time. Cause I look, we don't regret the past, wish shut the one, all that bullshit. That's kind of bullshit. I do regret the fact that cause if I could have been who I am today back then, it would have been a different story altogether.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that said, uh, I immediately came home and I'm like, calling manager. I'm like, look, dude, you need to figure out a way for us to be able to make enough to do this full time because I can do it and I want to do it. I haven't been. The funny thing is, Lindy goes, I haven't seen you that happy in years.
Uh,
And I really hadn't been that happy in years because when I'm doing that and sober, fucking universe makes sense, bro.
right, right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, there is nothing else. It's kind of like being on the mats in jujitsu. It's singular focus. The only difference is it's just everything makes sense, and we clearly have gas left in the tank. So, uh, God has this funny way of dealing with your plans, right? The plans
Right.
that we make. But I put it out there and Brian's all over it. He's like, dude, I've been waiting for you guys to get your
Sure.
shit together and tell me that you're ready to go do stuff again. And I told him, I go, now we've got to figure out a way to do it while we're still upright because we're getting up there. And here's the cool thing, Randy, is that I didn't know this, but apparently, I became acutely aware of it when we were on that 5-day cruise. That bands from our generation are still very, very, very popular.
Dude, you see how the kids are dressing, bro. The '90s are having their time right now. It's crazy. It's
Well,
crazy.
I mean, the, the so this is a fucking enormous boat full of people that their whole from all across the country that are our age. There were some kids, but mostly our age. And like you could just see that was not just we're going on a cruise that happens to have music. It was like, no, we are going to a floating festival that happens to be on a cruise. And
Yeah.
it was the coolest fucking thing. And the biggest difference between when you and I were coming up, back then there were like maybe 3 or 4 festivals around the country.
Dude.
Now there's a festival in every city, everywhere, all year long.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, Brian, we need to be on as many of those as possible. Make it
Dude.
happen.
Dude.
And I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I want to be sober. But here's the thing, Randy, is I know that I don't want to get in a bus or a van and be gone for a month.
Yeah.
I want to do it, but I don't want to compromise, you know.
Yeah. 100%. Dude, well, obviously, I'm super excited to hear that you guys are, potentially gonna be out and about again because I've always loved coming to see you guys play and I remain a fan, and I love you, obviously, and as well as I mean, obviously, Doug and, Rick, and
Of course.
Steve, obviously, I love Steve to death, like, that guy, just one of my favorite people. But as we get to the point where we put a button on this thing, I have a question that I usually ask people that I stole from someone else, as all the best writers do. And I love this question. And so if we were writing or if you were writing the book of your life, what is this chapter called?
Oh, you should have given me a heads up on that, dude.
Well, that's no fun.
Fuck. What if this chapter?
This chapter.
Fuck. Man, what is
You're
this
not on the
chapter
hot
called?
seat, bro. We just wanna know where you're at. What's go what do you where's your mind at? What are we thinking?
Well, one of two. Okay. All right. We're gonna call it cautiously optimistic.
Okay, yeah.
It is what it is.
Hey, dude, I mean, come on, bro. That's all
Look,
that
man.
it ever is, man.
You know what's funny about it is what it is that like that's in my circles, right? You know, the life on life's terms happens, and you really are faced with the way you deal with it, and the way to deal with it is what it is, and we're dealing with it. So you know what I mean. But I at this stage in my life, I'm cautiously optimistic, and and I know that what's happening is exactly what's supposed to be happening. Whether that's what I want or not, man.
Yeah, yeah. I love that answer, and, so I always love to end the show with a little bit of gratitude. I've been grateful. You have always been a very, generous and loving person to me. You've always, had arms wide open. I never felt like you were ever being deceptive. You've always been just a really straight shooter, and honestly, I've leaned on you to try to overcome hurdles that it's funny, we as life goes on, you start to learn those lessons that you couldn't really get quite at the time,
Yeah,
uh, like how to relax and let your natural voice come out rather than forcing everything through,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
But you've always, since I've met you, you've been an amazing dude and an amazing friend. You've got such a huge heart, and, I love you. I love your family, and I'm so grateful that we made time to sit down and talk today, bro. I miss you, and
Well,
I'm super excited for everything you have going on.
I want to. I love you. I've always loved you. I love your family, and so it's ditto there. But I feel like I owe you an apology or an amend. So if we, with my circles, we call it what it is. But
Sure.
life's been hectic, dude, and I can't tell you the last time that you and I've really been in touch. So for us to be able to connect here today in this way is just hopefully the beginning of a renewed relationship. You
100%.
know,
That is what's gonna happen, bro. We're gonna make it happen, so I
well, cool.
appreciate your heart. Yeah, yeah, and please.
You're gonna have to walk me through this whole podcast thing because I think it could be pretty cool for like Doug and I to
Oh,
maybe
bro,
do a
bro.
Riverside podcast where we just throw it on and we start talking about shit. You
Stop
know what
it.
I mean?
Dude, I've already been making a list in my head of all the things that we're gonna talk about later that I can offer you because yeah, the people need to see it, and I definitely have my finger on the pulse of it right now. It's up front. So let's figure out how we can get a whole new generation of Oleander fans to jump on board with what we already know about you guys, and you know
Well,
figure out who you guys are, and what I've gotten to discover. um, just I'm super excited for that. So of course, anything you need, there's no need to make an amend. I love you. I appreciate you. And for everybody out there who's listening to the show, if you haven't had a chance, click that follow button, set your notifications and share it out to friends and all that stuff. Where can people find you and keep track of what's going on? Where can I direct people to find out what's coming?
because I'm so social media hip, right? I know that we've got a I know I know that we've got I know that we've got an Instagram, and I know that we've got an Instagram, Oleander Band. I know that we've got a TikTok. I know that we've got a Spotify channel. So, all the normal places. If you look for Oleander Band, you're going to find us. And I highly recommend that you go and, hit that like button, I guess is what you say.
Yeah, man. Well, you heard it here first.
Hey, hang on a second. Hang on a
Uh-oh,
second. Check,
uh-oh.
check this shit out. We're putting out our first song. We're going to drop our first song on the 4th of July. The first song that we have is since Something Beautiful album. We're going to be releasing it on the 4th of July.
Dude, stop it. I cannot wait. That's my birthday weekend, so you're gonna have to let me gonna have to give me a sneak peek or something. I wanna hear what we got going on.
Yeah, it's
But definitely
actually it's actually a good one, dude.
ah,
I like it. I
I'm
like
sure it
it.
is. I'm sure it is. Well, hey, you heard that? Be checking out for new Oleander music. Keep an eye on them. Tom Flowers, thank you so much for your time today, brother. I love you.
Love you too, man. I'll see you later.
All right, buddy.